TIFU thinking I had the stomach of a middle school boy. I'm 27 and a guy, and I was writing this from my work bathroom yesterday, basically fighting for my life. My lunch had been some seriously spicy pad thai, way too much so. The restaurant is known for their spice level, but it was insane. I ate the whole thing, but by the time I got back home, my dad made everyone burgers without sides. I completely forgot what I'd eaten earlier and decided hot Cheetos were a good side. That was a bad idea. All morning, my stomach felt like it was on fire. To make things even worse, my job has 3 bathrooms, so I went to the one farthest away from all the offices to avoid any trouble. As you can imagine, my rectum was getting some serious third-degree burns. And then, in the middle of all this pain, the maintenance guy decides it's the perfect time to change light bulbs in that same bathroom. Talk about bad timing. The humans send an SOS and still manage the impossible. Sir, we got an emergency call on open frequencies about an hour ago. It's from the humans, sir. And you're sure it's genuine? This isn't a trap. They've used our frequencies before to lure us in during this war. It is verified to come from a civilian ship, which is why it took so long to inform you, sir. More I can't say for now. Analysis is taking its time, but I believe it's real, sir. Alright, let me hear it and then decide. Understood, sir. The voice on the other end was remarkably calm. This is Captain Terrence Matthews from the UN trading ship, El Dorado. We need armed assistance immediately. Some things attacked our ship and have taken over the cargo bay. Fighting started in the background, followed by intense gunfire and what sounded like void beasts grunting. They breached through our docking hatch like it was butter and vented the entire compartment. We're holding on as best we can but are taking heavy losses. More fighting erupted, with the telltale sounds of void beasts getting closer. We just managed to unalive one of them, but it took almost all our ammo. There are at least 2 more on board. If anyone hears this, help us. Take the cargo if you need to, but come here and... Fighting reached the captain, multiple gunshots were heard, along with void beast cries and grunting. Scratch 2. And I retract my former statement. Do not come to this emergency calls position. One of those things is still alive. If you do decide to come here, bring at least a freaking battleship, and whatever you do, don't let that thing get near enough to board you. Nuke the El Dorado to Kingdom Come from at least half a light year away. A short pause. The last life signal of my crew just blinked out. There are no surviving sapients on board the El Dorado. Captain Matthews, last survivor of 107 brave sailors, out. The mic thumped to the ground, followed by muffled sounds. Hello there you ugly motherfucker. Crunching sounds and 3 rapid gunshots were heard, then a click. Those are my crew, you freaking bastard. Metallic scraping and more gunfire echoed, followed by a short scream that cut abruptly. The transmission ends here, sir. So they encountered 3 void beasts. It sounded like that, yes, sir. And they managed to unalive 2 of them. Unlikely given their innate regenerative ability via consuming prey, sir. Set course for the El Dorado. Already in extreme scanner range, sir. Confirmed no living beings on board. Spectroscopy report just came in. 2 void beast bodies confirmed. No signs of activity inside. A third is expanding its body to encompass the ship. Let's honor a true warrior's final wish. Load the spinal gun with the biggest, meanest warhead we have and nuke the El Dorado to Kingdom Come. And give those humans a full officer's salute on the bridge for their bravery. 98 officers, 1 captain, and 13 ensigns saluted from the bridge as a 650 megaton nuclear warhead made impact, unaliving the remaining void beast. Gas thief revenge. I heard someone mention a story like this, so here goes. So, there was this neighbor who would just walk into my backyard and take my gas can from my mower, put it in his own mower, and then return the empty can to me. I started noticing that the gas can was always almost empty when I went to mow the lawn, even though it's only a small quart-sized tank on the mower. Back then, we didn't have those fancy security cameras, so I had to get clever. I set up a webcam for my laptop with motion detection software. And guess what? I caught him literally 5 minutes after I left the house. For the next week, every time I needed to pee, I peed in that gas can. It was pretty full of pee by now, but it still smelled enough like gas to fool an idiot. Then, I left the can on the back patio again and made a big deal about checking the fluids in my car and packing some bags. I made sure he knew I was getting ready to go on a trip and that I'd be gone for a while. Hoping he would take the bait. About an hour later, I came home with a fake excuse of having a car problem. As expected, when I saw him in his front yard, pushing his mower so hard it looked like he was going to have a stroke. He turned bright red and was swearing up a storm. Later, he got into his car and drove just a couple blocks down the road before his engine suddenly passed away. When I checked my gas can on the patio, it was empty. And here's an extra little nugget, this guy wasn't just a thief, he was also a huge piece of crap. I found out he had arrest warrants. So, I ended up getting him arrested by applying for a sheriff's ride-along program in his name. Grinning squinting face. The stupid words. Thinking is like that song stuck in your head, no matter how hard you try to ignore it, it just keeps playing on repeat. It's like being at Ike's and thinking about the girl behind the counter making my sandwich. Or noticing the lady 2 tables over avoiding eye contact with me. I don't know if she did it on purpose or not, I've barely looked in a mirror for days. When I shower, I'm so spaced out that even when I use soap, it's like just standing there under warm water. My hips relaxing reminds me of getting off a horse. Once I'm warm and comfortable, I turn the water off and stay there until I start to either freeze or dry up, depending on the time of year. Then, I turn the water back on, feeling that warmth rush and like the sun on my skin or a shot of brandy. Brandy sound nice, they're made from fruit and flowers, but they make me feel yucky afterward. So I let the warm water fill me up for just a few minutes, enough to close my eyes and ears and mind. Just a few blissful minutes where I can escape everything else. worried about BF possibly lying to me. Hey everyone, so, I'm 28, and currently living with my boyfriend who's 30. We're doing long distance right now, but when we are together, things are super fantastic. Lots of cuddles, no arguments, just fun times. He usually lets me stay at his place whenever he's around. But recently, he had a bit of a health scare. The doctor told him to get tested for STIs because of some weird symptoms he was having. He didn't tell me about this until after the test. For over a week, he was super nervous about the results, which really confused me because I'd been tested at my gynecologist and everything came back negative. Finally, his tests came back clear, but that just made me more worried. He might be lying to me or maybe he unfaithful when we were apart. We had an honest chat about it, and he promised he was faithful the whole time, saying he just has a bit of health anxiety. The other weird thing is that when he found out he needed to get tested, he didn't even ask if I might have had any symptoms, he only seemed worried about himself. It feels like he knows I wouldn't have given him anything, but someone else did. So, do you think his behavior around STI testing could mean he's possibly been unfaithful? My emotionally keep asking me to move home and restart. I think I'd rather pass away. Lately, things haven't been easy for me. Money's tight, and finding work in my city has been a real struggle. But tonight, something unexpected happened. My dad showed up unannounced, which he's done before. He started asking when I was moving back home, like always. He criticized how I live, saying I should move back because I'm 22 and could be saving money. He said my family is there, and that I should take advantage of it. It made sense, but deep down, I remember leaving 5 years ago for university, spending all my savings on a place with no help from them. I left partly because I felt like the black sheep. My parents were always strict, grounding me and emotionally blackmailing me into silence. My friends even teased me for not standing up to them. Growing up, it was hard. The women in my family would gang up on me if I tried to speak up. Once, when I did shout back, they made me feel like the bad guy. It's been almost 3 years since my sister spoke to me because of this incident at our grandpa's funeral. Despite trying to apologize, she just couldn't forgive me. I was close to grandpa, but I didn't get to attend his funeral. My sister and mom handled everything instead. They wanted me to stay home for a month, grieving, but it felt like they were trying to control my emotions. I knew he had lived a full life, so his passing wasn't painful for me. But because I didn't feel the same way, everyone treated me differently. Moving back now feels scary. My dad doesn't understand that I've worked hard to get where I am. I'm happy and independent, only me in my city who's really left home. But if moving back meant going to a council estate with high knife crime rates, it wouldn't be worth it. The thought of arguing with them again is petrifying. Honestly, I'd rather be homeless or worse than go back there. I just need some advice on how to handle this. How do I deal with their constant pressure? It's tough, and sometimes I wonder if staying independent was the right choice. Should I leave my boyfriend after months of being ignored? Hey everyone, I'm super stuck and feeling really anxious about my relationship. My boyfriend, who's 17, and me, who's 16, have been together for over a year now. Everything was going great until April. Since then, things have just gone downhill. We haven't seen each other in person since April, and he never asks to meet up or hang out anymore. When we do message each other, it's all just small talk about nothing important. There's no real depth or substance to our conversations anymore. It's really starting to bother me because I thought we were supposed to be close. On top of that, he'll sometimes leave me waiting for him to respond on messages for up to 23 hours, even though I can see him active on social media. It's like he doesn't want to talk to me at all. The more I try to bring it up with him, the more scared I get about how he might react. I feel like I'm in a relationship by myself right now. Is this already over? Or is there a way to talk to him without pushing him further away? How should I word a message to get a straight answer from him? FUK 28 lumens a unfaithful Christian slut. I met him at Bible studies back in uni, and we've been together ever since. He's this nice guy who goes to church all the time, preparing for his role as a vicar. I guess you could say he's like your typical Christian guy, praying and reading the Bible every day. But let's be real, I'm not exactly your average girl. You see, I've always been pretty open about my sexuality too. It's kind of a thing among Christians where we're into each other and keep it all in check. We believe God knows what we do, so confession is key. Every day, I pray for forgiveness and confess my sins. He understands me, though. He's accepting and even excited to marry me. I mean, who am I kidding? I'm a size queen, love BBC, and have had my fair share of adventures with other people. In Africa, I was pretty wild, messing around with the locals. Let's just say it wasn't exactly missionary work in the traditional sense. But that's part of what makes us so special, you know. We accept each other for who we are, flaws and all. And he knows that being in a relationship doesn't mean giving up on your faith or your sins. It means growing together as a team, supporting each other through it all. Got rude guy arrested for suspended license. It all started about 20 years ago, in the mid-2000s, when my friends and I would head to this small billiards place in a neighboring town. We'd rent a table by the hour or play per game, grab some snacks, watch sports on TV, and just hang out. No drama, no problems, until one day it all changed. 3 months into our visits, a guy showed up and took our spot at the billiards table. Big deal, right? We were chatting away like usual. But 20 minutes later, when my friend asked him if we could play next, he was super dismissive. No way we got in for that game. I tried politely telling him we wanted to play the next one, and a lady chimed in she also wanted it after us. The guy ignored both of us completely. Some time passed, and then the guy left the table. We saw our chance and put the quarters in, but something was off, no green 6 ball. He had taken it to the bathroom with him. We went to the manager, who said it was 12:30, so they were calling last call soon. No way he was kicking someone out for a billiards ball. So, the manager gave us another one and we tried again. The guy came back from the bathroom, so we had figured out his little trick, and smirked before heading to the patio with his beer and that green 6 ball. He returned and threw the ball on the table, messing up our game. He went to the bar just in time for last call. One of my friends suggested following him home and calling the highway patrol to report a suspected drunk driver. 3 out of 4 of us agreed. So when he left, we used our old Nextel push-to-talk phones to coordinate several calls to the police. We gave them all the details, license plate number, car make and model, color, everything. We had no idea where he lived but figured it was close since he was visiting a neighborhood place. Our time was limited, so we had a 15-minute plan. The one friend who didn't notify the police followed him home and called us giddy when an officer pulled between them and the guy, turning on his lights to pull him over. That week's police blotter included an arrest of a guy who was pulled over after multiple calls about erratic driving. He wasn't arrested for DWI but instead for driving on a suspended license. To fool by complimenting a stranger's baby that was a very small dog. This happened this morning, and I still feel like vanishing into thin air. I was standing in line at the coffee shop, half asleep with my eyes drooping shut. The woman ahead of me had one of those stretchy carriers on her front, and there was a little bundle in it with a fuzzy hood. I could see something dark and shiny poking out from the top. It hit me right away, those eyes were a dog's. I did the whole cooing thing, like when people see a baby. Oh, look at those eyes, hello sweetie, how old is the little one? She slowly turned around. Inside the carrier was a chihuahua in a hoodie. The dog's eyes were wide and it looked pretty offended. I tried to save face by saying, oh what a cutie, in my normal voice, like I'd known all along. But she had already seen how excited I got. She just said, he's 4, with zero emotion and turned back around. I grabbed my coffee and walked out without adding any milk. I needed to be anywhere but there. My girlfriend and BM of 3 years sleep with someone and then tried to sleep with me. So, I'm 34, and my girlfriend of 3 years is 24. We've been through it all, 3 years of ups and downs, and now our first kid. But things started getting rocky about 5 months ago. We lost our jobs in December and then my dad passed away in February. Suddenly, everything was piling up. I was the main provider, paying bills, and trying to keep us afloat. But she seemed more focused on enjoying life and spending money. We'd been arguing constantly, and sex had slowed down from a few times a week to once every 2 weeks. It wasn't just stress, it was the weight of everything we were dealing with. In May, things hit rock bottom when she broke up with me for good. She texted me on the 28th, saying how unhappy she was and that coming home hurt her because of where we were at. I agreed, even though I still felt like we could work through it. The first week of June, my car got repossessed, and I was completely emotionally drained. My sister helped me out, but I broke down when she came home. She comforted me more than ever before, promising to help get the car back. That's when I realized just how much I loved her and wanted to make it work. We were still arguing every other week, and she was constantly changing her mind about whether we should get back together or stay apart. One night, in June 24th or 25th, she moved our sleeping kid and cuddled up next to me. I fell asleep too but woke up with her in my arms. We talked later that day, and it felt like the first kiss in months. By June 29th, something similar happened. She lay on top of me, and I was still asleep. I rubbed her legs gently until she woke up for work. That's when we started joking about it, and for the first time in over a month, we kissed. It felt great. A week later, July 1st, we cuddled again while our kid slept. I found myself getting turned on, but I didn't push it because I was unsure where things stood. When she went out of town for the 4th with her family, I felt awkward and turned down their invite. She kept texting me all day, even making video calls to see our child. She came back Sunday, spending the night at her mom's instead of coming to pick up our kid as usual. Over the next few days, she texted me when she was coming home but stayed away for 2 days before finally visiting with our kid. She then spent a night at her mom's without telling me, and I felt like I couldn't see my own child. On July 12th, we were back on better terms. We cuddled in bed, and things got more intense. She was on top of me, kissing me, and straddling me. We didn't go all the way, but it was clear something had changed. Later that night, I needed my phone to check an oil change. While she did research for me, I saw a message thread with her sister that I hadn't seen before. It contained messages between her and another guy. She asked to see her phone, but I backed out of the messages, still in shock. When she handed it back, she had locked them. I read through the messages, seeing that she'd been talking to this guy since May 29th, the day after she said she wanted to break up. She had spent nights at his apartment instead of her mom's and was sending him nudes and pictures of our child. The more I read, the angrier I got. She denied everything, but when I asked her about a specific message, she finally admitted that they were talking. I told her to stop playing games and tell me what was going on. She denied it again, saying we weren't together at the time, so it didn't matter. That set me off, and we argued. Days went by as I packed up all her things and put them outside for her to get. But she kept coming back, asking for forgiveness and wanting our family back. In the end, I told her that if she couldn't trust me, she needed to go. She refused to leave without our child, so I called the police. Now, with no resolution in sight, I'm here on Reddit, looking for advice. We have a kid together, and I saw a great future with us. But now, all I want is guidance. Can anyone help? TIFU by losing almost $1,500 because of an impulsive decision. The other day, I went to see an orthodontist about fixing my teeth. You see, I had braces before, and my retainers broke last month, making my teeth slightly crooked. I was a bit worried about my uneven jaw too, thinking the aligners might help. But after talking with the doctor, it turned out there was a mix-up. Jaw surgery would be necessary if I wanted any changes. I decided to cancel because I really didn't care that much about having straight teeth. Plus, my insurance is ending next year, and my parents' plan doesn't cover much. So, I thought it might not be worth it. A couple days later, I tried to cancel the appointment, but they wouldn't let me. They said I had already paid a $500 deposit, which was fine. But here's the kicker, they wanted to charge almost $1,500 for just that one visit where they took x-rays and started planning my treatment. I've been going back and forth with the office, my parents, and even my insurance. I had to email them multiple times, asking to send the bill to my insurance, which I gave them when I signed up. It's pretty frustrating because it seems like they should have handled this from the start. Thinking about all that money, $500 was one thing, but now I might end up paying more than a fifth of what the treatment would cost. That's just ridiculous. Now I'm stuck waiting and stressing over what I'll have to pay. At least the $500 came out of the total, but still, it's such a big chunk of change. It feels like I signed those papers without really understanding everything. But at least it wasn't $5,000 or something crazy like that. Still, it's so frustrating and worrying. Punished for overperforming, so I did the bare minimum before leaving. I worked remotely for an auto parts company for almost 4 years, finally getting a promotion after the company merged with another. But even though I performed my duties better than the others in my department, I was effectively punished for being so good. I started working for a company founded in my area that had a reach around the world for classic auto parts. Sure, we had supplier issues, shipping delays, you name it. But the reputation of this company for being such a large source of hard-to-find car parts, from Model T and A Fords all the way up to modern muscle cars and everything in between. One of the brilliant minds in the management team decided to purchase a new sales/parts/service program for us, and it went downhill from there. Where one program would say we had 10 pieces of one item, inventory would say we had none, and where our accounting program would say a vendor was due payment, another would say nothing was owed. No one really knew what was going on until after the culprit manager had left with a hefty severance package. We started losing business, customers, vendors, and I, as a case manager, had to field calls daily trying to give whatever company line I was told to give to make the customers happy. We had a high turnover rate because of this and the company almost went bankrupt. Enter Big Auto Parts, name changed for reasons, and BAP came in with promises to fix everything. They did, for the most part. They paid off vendors, closed out accounts, worked to repair bad relationships with everyone, and let go 60% of the staff from the building in my town. Sad, yes, but unfortunately that's the price of business. About 6 months after the merger, I was promoted to Customer Operations Specialist. I no longer took calls, but I had to make them for any number of reasons. When I started this new position, there was another person there, I'll call her Lucy, as well. We had different duties in the same department. I would research the issue that came up and she would call the customer to work out a solution. For a quick example, if an item they ordered was out of stock or delayed, I would find a different part or call the supplier for an ETA. This would go to Lucy and she would call to ask the customer if they wanted to wait or accept a comparable item. It only took 3 weeks for Lucy to decide she didn't fit in and left the company. This left a big hole to fill, and because I was used to calling customers, I was asked to do double duty. It worked out surprisingly well because I was already familiar with the situations and could make better suggestions while on the phone with the customers. My supervisor did recognize my success and put me in for a small raise, which I did get. I was making good money doing something I really enjoyed. The company started growing, and with it, more work needed to be done by everyone. We had a ticket system that, while not perfect, was adequate. Occasionally there would be a hiccup in the system and hundreds, and sometimes thousands, of irrelevant tickets would come across my desk. I started noticing patterns and would call them out to my supervisor so someone with a higher pay scale than I could fix the underlying issue and we could all go home happy at the end of the day. Part of this growth meant that there were some areas in my department that would get too many tickets for the assigned person to handle solo, so I was asked to cross-train and learn these other areas. It didn't take long and soon I was doing other people's jobs better than them. I think it was a combination of me wanting to succeed and them wanting to do the bare minimum, and this plays into my malicious compliance near the end of this story. We had a point system that tracked how many tickets we worked, how long we spent on them, and whether the ticket needed a follow-up or could be closed as satisfied. The majority of my tickets could be closed because of one reason or another, and I always hit the metrics asked in order to secure a weekly bonus of $2.50 more per hour. Meeting my bonus put me at above the $20 per hour range every week with very few exceptions, so I was satisfied thinking I was doing a good job. They required me to make a minimum of 200 calls to customers and pass 2,400 points to make the bonus, and every week, I would make between 300 to 500 calls and hit nearly 7,000 points. In my youth, I got a degree from a local community college in video production, and that has always been my passion, but I was good at my current job and happy to be there. I got to take biannual trips to the corporate office, spring and winter, up north, made lots of friends, and even the owners of the company knew me by name due to my performance. My wife had changed jobs and was working for the local sheriff, and one day she emailed me that there was an opening in the media department. I applied and went through the 3-month process for possible employment, letting my current employer know they would be receiving a background check call. The process went smoothly, even resulting in me getting a call from the sheriff himself saying he was excited that I had applied. Back to my current company, I had been talked to several times about my numbers, with my supervisor telling me they were too high and no one else makes nearly that amount of points. When I said I was just following the metrics and doing my job, he let me know that changes were coming. On the day I received my call from the sheriff about being accepted as a new employee, I had a meeting with my supervisor. Before I could tell him I was leaving, he announced that a new point system was going to be implemented, and if my current week's numbers were applied to the new schedule, my 7,000 points would only equal 1,800, far below the minimum for the bonus. When I mentioned this was essentially punishing good performance, he said, "Well, that's what the company wants to do." As I said earlier, the bonus put me above the $20 per hour line. My new job was going to start me above what I was making with the bonus, which made my decision to hand in my 2 weeks' notice right then and there so much easier. What cemented my decision was when I found out that even though I was going to finish my scheduled 40-hour work week on a Friday, since the end of the pay week was Saturday and I wasn't working that day, I wouldn't get the comp time I earned. They were going to withhold earned sick and vacation time because of a technicality, after 4 years of faithful service. I actually liked my supervisor. He was younger than my married son and was disabled, a good kid with a great heart, but hated that he had to follow procedure in punishing hard work. I told him as much and mentioned that I would do what my original job description required, and nothing more, for my last 2 weeks. It was glorious. We could take time off, if we had vacation or sick time available, if our work was done and we had nothing else to do for the rest of the day. I focused only on my originally assigned areas, and once completed I would clock out, putting in my comp time to make up for not being on the clock. I was able to use up all my time by my last day there, and because I wasn't helping anyone else, their work began to stack up. Not that I was doing it to punish any of the friends I made at that company, but simply to get the point across. I could still see every ticket menu in all the areas where I had access, and their numbers began to climb out of control. I was contacted by my supervisor's boss on more than one occasion, asking me to help out. And when I would point out that it wouldn't be fair to take points away from the other people when I was about to leave, and that per policy, I was done with my assigned duties and could therefore leave for the rest of the day, he would stammer, trying to convince me to do what was good for the company. I simply said, I'm doing what is good for me. Unless you can offer me more than what the sheriff is willing to pay, I will only do what I am paid to do here until my last day. On my last day, I checked the ticket queue once again before signing off. My area had 0 tickets, and others where I worked that would average maybe 10 open or unworked tickets daily, now showed hundreds. What made me feel better was about 6 months after I left, I got a Facebook message from one of my old co-workers that I actually liked, wishing me a Merry Christmas and telling me they still had not found anyone who could do as much as I had done. But I am happy where I am and have plans to do this as long as I can, retiring one day after a long tenure here. Existing in bliss. I've known her for over a decade now. It's time for me to stop being wrong and treat her right. If she'd have me, I'd be there, not pushing or cracking but just existing. Just existing alongside her, holding her tight, pretending to watch TV when in reality we're lost in bliss. What's on the screen doesn't matter as long as she's in my arms. Imagining sleeping next to her takes all the feeling from my legs. I'm weightless, floating through my own mind on top of her mattress, internally at peace again. Safe to rest. Marshmallow Day. It was Marshmallow Day. At first, everything seemed normal. But then it turned into Marshmallow Night, and that's where all the fun began. I had this fluffy little cylinder in my hand. It looked so yummy, like a tiny marshmallow pancake. I thought about just popping it in my mouth for a quick snack. But something made me curious. What if I stacked 3 together? The idea was so tempting. My taste buds were on strike the second that triple-layered marshmallow hit my tongue. We want something better, they complained. Still, I couldn't resist trying again. This time, I grabbed a bag of multicolored marshmallows. I started stacking them, white under yellow, orange above yellow, and then another white on top. Before I knew it, my lips were stuck together. Marshmallow goo was everywhere, on my mouth and even making my tummy do an EDM dance. It wasn't the worst night ever, but definitely one for the books. Note to self, repeat next week. Primal Rage 49. First previous Patreon, early access, official subreddit Discord. Snelga recognized that the humans, namely Finley, were subjected to undue distress from being caged, and she arranged for a compromise solution since the council wouldn't dream of moving primals without proper security. The Curson veterinarian had gotten permission to allow the earthlings to walk themselves, voluntarily, into the back of an armored truck. She was moving us all to her clinic, which doubled as her residence. I could tell our host was nervous to live openly around the animals from how she skittered inside on long, lanky legs. I'm going to be there for Caitlin, anything that she needs. She went above and beyond looking after LB and I, as I wish my sister had appreciated. I suspect our NASA benefactor will be working on Snelga, however, I hope the vet won't decide it's too much effort for an animal. Snelga watched the humans stalk around for a bit, then pointed out where food and water were. She also explained the various rooms, including the prepared bedroom. Her explanation showed a bit more respect for their intellectual capacity, though that reverence seemed directed at Caitlin more than Finley. My cute farmer was prickly and quiet, with an attitude of apparent indifference to anything explained. It was little consolation that he was a tiny bit freer, or at least able to interact outside of a cage, here. Caitlin. Snelga ventured, once the NASA researcher curled up on her couch. You seemed agreeable to an intelligence test yesterday. Now that you're here, I'd like to do some research. Is that still something you want to try? Caitlin's smile brightened. I'm curious to know how humans stack up to Cursons myself. Intelligence can be a tricky variable to measure. You want to take one design for people. Caitlin, I don't want to set you up to fail or to be frustrated, sweetie. We should start more elementary, and prove you're better than other animals. Would it bother you to learn that humans are every bit as intelligent as Cursons? Because that's what I want to prove, and I'm telling you, I can. It should be simple enough to prove or deny, so I don't see the harm in letting me try. I already respect you, precious. I understand you might feel pride or want to measure up, but you're special for what you are. Your reasoning is exceptional, don't get me wrong. Caitlin arched an eyebrow. Then test my reasoning. See how I compare to the average Curson. I promise, my pride isn't an issue. If I'm not in the same league as you, that's okay. Neither of us have to wonder that way, right? If you insist, Caitlin. I'll print out a Brailleger test for you, and have it translated. It scores reasoning, math, and linguistics. If you want to stop at any point, this is all in your control. We don't have to record these results if it's not flattering. Science cares about truthfulness. Whatever happens, promise me you'll document and record it. Fine. I promise. Just sit tight. I'll get a camera to show you, attempting to take the test and find the materials. Wish you good luck. I turned to see if Finley was observing the scene, to find that he ducked into the spare bedroom that seemed to have been Snelga's office before. The farmer leaned against a cabinet, keeping to himself during Caitlin's examination. His lips were taut and his eyes stormy, a far cry from the bubbly and joyful Primal who'd fallen over himself to look after me. I dug through his belongings and put on his favorite hat, prancing past him. The human hardly reacted to my runway modeling attempts. I have no idea how to cheer Finley up when he seems this dispirited. He's been there for me through it all, at my lowest point after LB's attempted self-harm. I wish we could go on a road trip. Just you and me, I attempted. Whether it's traveling the stars or going for a ride in the countryside. Actually, if we went to Ivla Cole, I'm banned, but you could be my accomplice. Finley and his pinball touch. The farmer shrugged. Har har. Oh, I mean it. You have a very scary power, my fearsome Primal. I'm glad you're on my side. My secret weapon against the casinos, this is all part of the long con plan. Because I'm so manipulative. Yeah, you sure got me wrapped around your finger. I'd walk through fire for you, you know, and I ain't immune to it like you. I'm so out of my depth though, and the way they treat us, it's like one of my cows. I don't know if I want to cry or scream. I grabbed his right hand, clasping it between both of mine. However you're feeling, I won't judge you. Do you want to talk about it? Finley stuck his lower lip out, a familiar pouting face taking hold. You can't possibly understand. You don't feel anger. Wade and Caitlin explained a lot about how it feels, but you're right, I don't want to assume it's the same for all of you, any more than other emotions. Regardless, it's not the same as first-hand experience. If you want to explain it to me, I can listen. I'm sorry I can't do more. I might not have one avenue to react, but I definitely understand homesickness and hopelessness. Of course. I don't want to drag you and Caitlin down. You're both going through so much, and she's all happy, somehow. I just need to keep to myself. She's making real progress with Snelga, and I'll just frick things up. I don't know why I thought I'd have any power here, or why I thought there was anything I could do to help. I'm a silly Primal. You are, Finley. And that's why I love you. I need you to be a Primal and not give up. Never let them see you falter, right? As long as we're together. Finley nodded. I'm doing my level best. It just ain't real good. The two of us stood in a comfortable silence, our eyes drifting far off in a sea of thoughts. Caitlin was the most capable of defending humanity, since I clearly couldn't convince anyone. Finley had also put Snelga on edge about the possibility of him attacking with his ill-tempered threats. I knew the farmer was all bluster and bravado, but trying to explain that to any of my peers would be an exercise in futility. This was my fault for making him stay at NASA and then pairing up with him. He wouldn't be here if it wasn't for me barging into his life. He'd be better off having never met me. All I achieved by going to Earth was traumatizing my sister and causing the humans, who are both kind and innocent, to suffer. I wouldn't blame them for spitting on my name and being angry over the lives lost in vain, for a selfish refugee. They're the only ones who stood up for the Safnos, and all they got was the council's disrespect. Finley arched a bushy eyebrow and cleared his throat. I followed his gaze to find Snelga awkwardly standing in the doorway, avoiding any direct stares in the farmer's direction. It seemed to us both that she was waiting for him to move. I gathered that the Curson was worried about the package deal for Caitlin, though our host wouldn't split such social creatures for the sake of their health. Seeing Mr. Canavan as a person would be a tougher sell than accepting Dr. Sharp as an exception. You forgetting to blink, Snelga. Finley grunted. The Curson startled, taking a cautious step back. Perhaps you would like to wander, Primal. We're going to have to find a pasture for you to graze in, hee, so you want me to move. The flaxen-haired human scrunched his nose and turned around, pulling open the drawer Snelga had been side-eyeing. He grabbed a pencil and raised it in the air. This what you're after? Well, yes, but if you're possessive of that corner, Finley extended his arm, passing the writing utensil to the fearful Curson. Here you go. You could have just asked. I see. Thanks, Finley. Gee, good boy. Woof. I waited for Snelga to leave the room, breathing a sigh of relief when Finley didn't explode. Before realizing something. That wasn't worse than my sweetie. Humph, Finley scoffed. Nah, she does sweetie too. I done heard it. She's on a collectathon of pet names. I hugged him so tightly that he winced. Thank you for being civil about it. You said it, Kron. Being huffy is the worst thing I can do here, it won't change it or help our situation. Yeah, but it must be, what's the right word? Exasperating. You're right that I can't understand how it feels, Finley chuckled. You know how water feels when it touches your skin. Unpleasant, burning discomfort. Toxic to the touch. The Primal tapped his temple. It's like that in your brain and the air you breathe. The blood rushes in your ears and you could about strangle someone. That's why you use the same word for physical irritation in the form of anger. MHM. It ain't like y'all say, but I want to listen to her talk like that about as much as you want to stick your toes under a water faucet and leave them there. So it hurts. Emotionally. An itch you can't scratch in your thoughts, mighty distracting. But how does that make you want to hurt others? I'm sorry, that's what I can never wrap my mind around. Finley pawed at his chin, frowning and seeming a bit stumped. You know how with love, you can want to show affection. Like you got the thought to hug me because you wanted me to feel better. Yeah. Imagine an unpleasant version of that where you want me to feel worse. Where you want me to be none of your existence rather than all of it. That's hostility. That's why. I shuddered, bowing my head. And you felt that way toward me over a toilet. There's degrees of it. I don't want to talk no more. Of course you don't. You've been angry toward me multiple times. You trampled my best friend and told me I wasn't a person. You deserved it. I thought this was a no judgment zone. Yes, because I'm Kron the Fair and I always keep my word, I said, striking an innocent pose. Finley scowled, stamping a foot on the ground. Ah, frick you. You're exasperating. Go sit in the other room. Okay, sweetie. The Primal stared daggers at me as I waltzed out of the bedroom. Giving Finley some space to cool off might be for the best, if he wanted to dislike hug the source of his ire. Snelga was going to need to come around more before they could have any productive interactions, though I tried to help and be supportive of the humans in any way that I could. For now, I opted to go check in on Caitlin's progress alone. I was curious how highly she would score. I have zero doubts that she'll excel, since I've seen firsthand that she's sharper than anyone else I've ever met. A once-in-a-generation genius, I'd even think, though she'd never claimed that herself. Snelga and I sat in silence to avoid distracting Caitlin, and my mind was racing with too many thoughts to grow restless. The Curson was watching the scientist's progress more closely, surprised when Dr. Sharp breezed through tricky logic puzzles. I could see from how the veterinarian was pulling on her head feathers that she thought the human was giving up on the questions. I knew the NASA researcher would happily puzzle on something that she found challenging. She told me she loved solving the impossible. Please don't get angry, Caitlin, Snelga ventured, checking her watch, but your time is up. They're designed not to finish all of the questions. Caitlin placed the pencil down, grinning. Thank you for letting me do this. Alright. How'd I do? Let's find out. Don't get your hopes too high, okay? You did great no matter what. The Curson scanned each page with her phone's camera, connecting it to the testing application where AI could score it. I could see the moment Snelga got the results, as her eyes went wide with pure, unadulterated shock. She nearly dropped the device. I peered over the veterinarian's shoulder to see that Caitlin's score placed her not just in the highest percentile, but among the top test takers of all time. Our host's bright red face turned toward the Primal, studying her anew. Caitlin rubbed the back of her neck. Why are you looking at me like that? Did I do something wrong? Caitlin, Snelga's mouth moved without forming words, and she handed the scientist the device. You're a genius. You're not just an intelligent animal, you're smarter than me, than most people, and you're a primal. What a waste of a brilliant mind. I told you that they were very intelligent, especially the humans at NASA. Give them some credit, I interjected. If they're that intelligent, then of course they shouldn't be treated like animals. And I spoke down to you, like you couldn't understand. That's why Wade said I was humiliating him. I'm sorry, Caitlin. This is amazing, it's okay. I don't hold it against you, Caitlin assured Snelga. Can you at least agree that by intelligence standards, I'm a person? Of course. You're remarkable. This is so exciting. I have to get to know you more and speak to you. It's a dream come true. Like I said, it was my dream to talk to aliens. I understand that you think we lose all rationality when angry, but I'd ask you to open yourself up to the possibility that we don't, Snelga. I'm telling the truth, just like I was about our intelligence level. It would be easy to prove. If you take out the Primal's control issue, then you'd have to see me as a full-fledged person. I want to understand how your mind works. You have no business being this smart, and yet you are. Everyone needs to know. I promise, I'm going to share this immediately. I want others to talk to you and see how brilliant you are, but I need to ask you something, and be honest. Always. It could be a massive boost to funding if I can get someone to interview you and show what you're really like, but non-primal experts won't be forgiving of any displays of anger. Like what, for instance, Finley has been doing. You're obviously smarter than that one, but you're both from the same species. Are you sure you won't lose control on camera? Caitlin frowned. Of course I won't. Snelga, respectfully, I don't like you speaking about Finley that way. Could you please reevaluate your behavior and treat him with respect? He might not have a PhD, but he absolutely has a person's intellectual capacity too. Just because you don't like his temperament doesn't mean it's okay to deny that. Finley doesn't seem very safe. Or rational. Whereas you said that calmly, Snelga responded. I gave the Curson a disgusted look. Finley was abducted from his home and thrown in a cage, after his people were attacked for protecting the alien he fell in love with. All he did was try to help me with kindness, and he's more than capable of learning and understanding anything I've explained to him, even without studying it like Caitlin. But you won't even talk to him like a person. Doesn't he have the right to be displeased? I'm sure Finley is afraid and stressed, but he's threatening and violent at a moment's notice. He's clearly a wild primal, and I don't mean that in an insulting way. Well, I'm insulted on his behalf. Finley feels angry because it's his species' natural emotion when they've been wronged. If you were nice and respectful to him, there'd be no exasperation. He's sweet, happy, and helpful when he's not being abused and jerked around. I can tell that you do love him, Kron. Since you're the one that tamed him, I'll try to follow your tips. I can pretend he's on Caitlin's level if it mends his anger. Caitlin's lips tightened. All humans are equal and deserving of basic rights. If you don't respect my entire species, you don't respect me. It's unfair to judge us by our ability to feel anger when you, frankly, don't understand it at all. Please, Snelga, be better. I'd like to believe your heart's in the right place. The Curson recoiled. I want to help you, Caitlin. If it's important to your happiness, I'll do whatever you need me to, for Finley to be treated as equally as possible. That said, I must insist on it being only you in any interview. Finley will be happier that way, but your reasoning is worrisome. We need to talk more about humans in general, because my hope is for you to see us all as full-fledged people. You are people, I told Caitlin. You're innocent, kind people who've been treated like clueless animals. If I could make them see that, I would. Oh, Kron. You can't make anyone change their beliefs. That has to be their choice. Snelga. Snelga ducked her head in submissive fashion, before busying herself with sharing results and trying to pitch a platform on the galaxy's smartest primal. I supposed it was a positive that the Curson didn't seem offended by Caitlin, a primal, having a higher intelligence than her, but I needed her to pass that respect along to Finley too. For now, however, my immediate focus was on doing whatever was necessary to find a cure for the NASA researchers' ailment. First, previous Patreon, early access, official subreddit Discord. I spent a lot of time trying to get sober, and after all this time it worked. I spent a ton of time trying to get sober. Used to do some serious drugs and drink like there was no tomorrow. Alcohol was the real kicker for me, honestly. I knew plenty of people who could handle heroin or coke, but it always messed up their lives. Not mine though, I never really struggled with that. But alcohol, oh man, that caused more than my fair share of trouble. Now I'm 34, and I've been clean for a couple of years. Built something nice with the mom of my kids too. We're in an exclusive relationship, which is kinda insecure, but things are getting better all the time. But lately, I don't know what's gotten into me, but I've been seriously thinking about going back to drugs. It's not just some crazy craving or something, there seems to be a real thought process behind it. And that scares me. My kid's mom said if I slip up, there's no going back. She'd quit trying and I'd lose the chance. The problem is, I'm still seriously considering it. Just typing this out helps me understand how I feel. But the words aren't really pushing me one way or the other. It's just me. AITA for clearing out my neighbor's self-published books from our community little free library and replacing them with real donations. 4 years back, I, 52F, set up this little free library at the end of my street. It was so fun to see people swapping books and kids exchanging comics. Every week, I'd fill it with free books from a used bookstore. 2 months ago, Gary, our neighbor, started putting his self-published memoir in there. At first, he only had 1 copy, but then it turned into piles of the same book, up to 10 or 12 at a time. The box became so full of his beige cover books that kids couldn't find picture books anymore and travelers found no other choices. I politely asked him to limit it to just 1 or 2 copies. He got defensive, saying everyone should share things in a library. I told him the library was for everyone, not just his books. But when I checked later, it was still stuffed with only his book. Last weekend, I took all his memoirs out and left them at his door with a note. Then I filled the box with other books from my collection. Gary flipped out. He thought I stole his property and embarrassed him. He's even spreading rumors that I'm gatekeeping the library. My husband thinks I overreacted and could have just added more books without taking any out. My friend Denise says I did the right thing because a library isn't supposed to be an advertisement board. Gary stopped talking to me, and now there's tension with other neighbors too. AITA for suggesting my boyfriend stand on the floor so we could look closer in height for a photo. So, my boyfriend is 6 feet 4 inches and I'm just 5 feet 2 inches. We were at an escape room with some new friends, and it came time to take a group photo. Since we have such a height difference, I suggested he stand on the floor while I stood up higher, so our heights would match better in the picture. I just thought it would look cute and balanced, nothing too big of a deal. But instead of saying no or agreeing with me, he immediately refused. He stepped up onto the platform anyway and said, "Find a shorter boyfriend." It was like, right there, in front of everyone we were just meeting. I was completely shocked, feeling so embarrassed and small in front of all these new people. His comment felt really mean and out of nowhere, and it totally ruined the moment for me. Later on, when I told him that his words hurt my feelings, he argued that it wasn't nice of me to ask him to look shorter. He said I wanted to diminish his height. But, you know, finding a shorter boyfriend isn't exactly what I meant by asking him to stand differently. His reaction just seemed totally uncalled for and really hurtful. What should I do? BF writing with other people. My boyfriend, who's 24, and me, 20, have been together for 2 years now. It's been quite the roller coaster, filled with both ups and downs. The first time he betrayed my trust was when I caught him writing to his ex-girlfriend for more than a few weeks. I forgave him, thinking it would all be okay. But then, just a few months later, I saw that he had been talking to 5 different people on Snapchat from August 2025 until February 2026. He promised me that they were just short conversations about his self-esteem and that he never actually met with anyone. I've told him that if this keeps happening, we need to go to therapy or I'll have to end things. He agreed, which made me hopeful. But deep down, am I being a fool for still wanting to stick with him? After all the trust issues, his infidelity is hard to forget. Yet, he's actually been a great partner in other ways, dumb as that may sound. It's so complicated, sometimes I wonder if I'm just trying too hard or maybe not giving him enough credit. TIFU by telling my gay friend I feel uncomfortable with him next to my homophobic dad. I'm 23 years old and bi. When I came out to my friends at 16, they were super supportive. But my mom and sister weren't so cool with it, especially my mom. She never really liked the idea, always talking about it like it was a problem or something wrong with me. My dad. He's the homophobic one. Ever since then, I've been afraid he might cut me off if he ever found out. My mom isn't much better, she always talks about it as if I'm corrupted by LGBT propaganda, even though she doesn't mind me having gay friends. So for a long time, I kept my sexuality mostly hidden from the world except for that. My social life was normal, I met both girls and boys without hiding anything to them. But with my dad, it's like having a double life. I've always felt like I need to hide in plain sight around him. Not being financially stable doesn't help either, because it means I can't do much if he does cut me off. A few years ago, I met this guy who's gay and super out about it. He has a supportive family too. We started as just friends, but over time we became really close. He's the best friend anyone could ask for, always caring and understanding. Yesterday, my friend and I were hanging out at a bar, having a great time. My parents showed up unexpectedly, though. They knew my friend from before, but it was his first time meeting my dad. I started feeling super anxious, so I told my friend I needed to talk for a bit. He asked what was wrong, and I spilled the beans about being paranoid that my dad found out and might think something suspicious just because of how he looks. He took it pretty well, but still seemed upset. When he left, I hugged him and apologized. After they left, I acted normal around my parents as if everything was fine. Later, I texted my friend to apologize for making such a big deal out of nothing. I can't even explain how bad I feel. I really understand that he's offended by what I said, and I'm so ashamed of myself. Right now, I just feel horrible, like the weight of the world is on my shoulders. TIFU by not continuing my rabies shot sequence. A few weeks back, my girlfriend and I stumbled upon a little alley kitten. She looked so weak and sickly, we took her to the vet right away. Sadly, she didn't make it after just 36 hours of hospitalization. Before passing, she had given me a bite, which meant getting tested for rabies. The thought of that made my OCD flare up really bad. I ended up in the ER and got my first round of those scary rabies shots. The results came a few days later, and guess what? The kitten hadn't passed away from rabies. So, I didn't get any more shots. It felt like a win over my OCD. I wasn't letting that irrational fear rule me anymore. But then, tonight, we went for a romantic walk in our local park to see those fireflies and clear our minds. And oh no, suddenly, this bat zoomed into my face. It made contact with my mouth, leaving me with a really scary thought. Now, I'm sitting in the ER again, dreading more shots. Last time, they gave them right there in my butt because of multiple bite spots. It was a lot less pleasant on my face. But hey, at least this time, I feel like I'm winning against my OCD by not getting those extra shots. Tonight's update, 4 hours after the bat incident, I'm still here in the ER. They first told me I wouldn't get more immune globulin, but then they changed their minds and gave it to me. Now I'm on my way home. TIFU by asking my neighbors if they were burying a body. I was out for a walk with my furry friend tonight when I spotted 3 guys in their yard, holding a shovel and a flashlight. At first, I thought they were just doing some late-night gardening or maybe trying to dig up something interesting. It's 11 p.m., after all, what could a couple of grown men possibly want to do at this hour? Maybe one of them had too much to drink and said, "Hey, let's dig that bush up." But as I got closer, it hit me, it looked suspiciously like they were burying something. Maybe even a body. I couldn't help but think it would be hilarious if they were really doing that. I decided to make small talk with them and asked jokingly, "What are you guys doing?" "Burying a body." I thought maybe this was my chance to lighten the mood and build some rapport by being cheeky. But as I looked at their expressions, it became clear, no, they weren't burying a body. They were burying their dog. One of them burst out laughing, which made me feel like an idiot. I apologized profusely, but my cheeks burned with embarrassment. I'll never live this one down. I have an itch. I have an itch. It's difficult to pinpoint where exactly I feel this itch, but I know it's there. Like an ever-present bug bite that you scratch absent-mindedly, sometimes it subsides a little but eventually it always returns. Stanger and more present than before. I feel it in my mind and I feel it in my core, like a fishing hook caught in my cheek. It snaps me back to reality every time I find a brief moment of peace or happiness. It screams at me, it pushes me to the edge of sanity. There is no respite, no saving balm or cream to soothe. There is only the itch. I close my eyes and try to recall when I first felt the itch. We used her email address to make online purchases. It started that way because she had priority accounts for different services online, but before long it became one of the roles we each take on. You know the roles I mean. Some of us take the role of joker, of chef, of counselor, or provider. Opposites attract, and when you meet the person meant for you, it's common to feel like they're the yin to your yang, completing the part of you that you felt was always missing. I am the clown and the cook, she is everything else. Nothing is impossible when you meet the one because you know deep down that this is how it's meant to be. When you find someone so perfect it's almost as though fate is on your side, willing you forward. That is how she makes me feel, as though the entire universe conspired to bring us together and make me the luckiest man in the world. How can anything stand in our way when we are together? How can anything stand in the way of fate? I realize I made an error. A simple measurement was off and my purchase was useless. A simple and easy mistake to make, but now I needed to return it and set the mistake right. No big deal. We know each other's passwords to the computer. We trust each other. Neither of us has anything to hide, so we have true openness. A rare thing in a relationship, but we are different to all those other couples. We have only been together 4 years, but it could be a lifetime. It could be 2 lifetimes, such as the connection that we have, a connection that I have never experienced before, and some people will go their whole lives without ever experiencing. I go to her email to find the receipt, but it's not in her inbox. I check her junk folder, but it's not there. It's then I see she has subfolders to organize her emails. So cute, she is always so ordered and meticulous, not like me. I bounce from one task to the next, no clear plan, no real thought process. I smile to myself, another sign that fate is on my side. I see a folder named shopping. It must be here. I open the folder expecting to see PDF files and shopping lists, but instead I only see emails from herself to herself. How odd. I have an itch. I have to scratch the itch, and so I click the first email that the mouse lands on. And then the next and the next. I see conversations, I see pictures, I see videos. I see arrangements to make plans while I am in work or when she has a night out with friends. I see references to myself, but always as him or he. I see them together, and I see both him and her alone. I see them together in many different positions on my birthday. I see it all. I see that the email started a year after we moved in together. Since when did she have Snapchat? When did she get that underwear set? That purple toy that she uses for him, when did she get it? Where is it now? She speaks in a way that makes me question if it is actually her typing. She never speaks this way for me. I lose track of time. I have no idea how long I've sat here, but I see 2 years of emails hidden away. I am stuck in place, I can't move, can't breathe, my heart races until I hear it in my head. My eyes sting, my skin sweats, and my blood rushes so that I hear nothing else. But I hear the door. I have an itch. It makes me scream. And cry. It makes me question, how could you? Why did you? What did I do wrong? Who, when, where? I ask the questions, I plead for the answers, I need them. I am raw emotion and I lay myself bare, I justify and I make excuses for her. I am so naive, I expect emotion and tears in return but all I get is distance and cold indifference. The I don't know or I don't remembers snap me back to reality. Like the fishhook in my cheek I finally realize that there is no way back now, no way to turn back the clock and forget, no way to stop her as she packs a few small bags and leaves. I am alone now, just me and fate. How ironic. I have an itch. I try to satisfy it any way I can. I throw myself into work but my manager tells me I need to get my act together. If I can't pick up the pace and stop the mistakes he will have to let me go. I go to the gym every day but it's a waste of effort. The weights I lift are now too heavy for me. The treadmill makes time lengthen to the point where 5 minutes feels like an hour of just me and my thoughts. I give it up. I spend 2 years wandering aimlessly. Northwest Rail direction or drive to find it. Everything I try to feel excited about saps the energy from me until it is just a chore or an impossible task. Fate it seems is no longer on my side, if indeed it ever was. I wander through town. I need something. I don't remember what it is but I'm here now so if I just stumble along a bit more I'm sure I will remember it. I am blind and deaf to those that push past me but in the distance I hear laughter. I had almost forgotten the sound but something about it seems familiar and I can't help but try to follow the sound, like the fishhook in the cheek, pulling me to something I need to see. Is that you again, Fate? I have an itch. I see them together. The streets are packed but I can't see any other faces save for theirs. They look happy. He has a small child, a girl on his shoulders and he bounces up and down as he walks, she belly laughs with delight. The crowd parts for them, Fate clears their path right past me. He sees me but doesn't seem to recognize me. He nods at me, smiling, and then carries along their path, completely unaware. But she sees me, she recognizes me. I try to convey my sadness and regret, I try to send my longing to her and silently tell her all the things I wish I could say but I know deep down that time has moved on, fate has other plans for the both of us. I hope to see some amount of shock and regret on her face but instead she smiles at me. A cruel smile that doesn't meet the edges of her eyes. A triumphant smile worn by those that have beat their opponent, a smug and boastful smile worn by those that have defeated their enemy and now hold all the power. I don't really remember doing it but I turn and run. I must have because now I'm back at home packing bags. I have an itch. I know how to get rid of the itch. I will not give up. This is not where my story ends. I will go back to a place of happy memories and start again. I will find truth and peace and I will emerge stronger than ever before. I dig out my dad's fishing rod. One of the few mementos I have from our time together. Happier times before fate or itches controlled me. I packed the camping and hunting gear that stayed hidden in the basement for so long. The keepsakes that were once painful reminders of a father that had to say goodbye will now be pillars that will help me start life anew. He may longer be with me but I know now that he has never given up on me. I will go to our lake, the lake we used to stay at all those years ago. Where we would camp, fish, and hunt without a care in the world. There I will stay. For how long I don't know. It will be lonely. It will be sad. It will not be easy but when I leave I will no longer have the itch. I will be a new man and I will no longer be controlled by fate. I will make my own fate. I finally have no itch. It could have been days, it could have been weeks. All I know is that it felt like forever since I saw another person. I fished and hunted and foraged for my food just the way Dad taught me. I slept under the stars and bathed in the lake. My phone stayed off and in that time I found my peace. I felt ridiculous, I felt shame, how could I believe that? Fate did this to me. How could I let me life be ruled by something out of my control? I am in control now. It won't be easy but I will finally take back what's mine, I will finally return to society to begin anew. I am reborn. I pack my bags. The tent and sleeping bag go away effortlessly, a first for me. The fishing rod doesn't tangle, the rifle doesn't jam, truly fate has accepted it no longer has any sway over me and makes way for my new god. Me. I sit for a moment, looking across the lake before returning to my car. I don't know if I will ever return to this place but somewhere deep down it feels like I am saying goodbye. Goodbye to Dad, goodbye to the old me, goodbye to fate. I take my phone from my pocket and switch it on. 85% battery. I enter my passcode and wait for the inevitable incoming notifications to cease. Games and social media. Trivial and unimportant to me now. I start to clear them one by one. I am finally ready. Then I see it. One singular message. From her. It stops me dead. I have no idea what to expect. My heart starts racing again as that old anxiety starts to kick in. What could she possibly want now, after all this pain and hurt, all this time? But I do know one thing, whatever she has to say is below me now. Any apologies or justifications that she may try to give will fall on deaf ears. If they have split up and she has finally decided that I was always the one for her she will be disappointed. No matter what regrets she has they will have no bearing on me or my new path. I open the message. It is a picture. A selfie to be exact. The first thing I notice is the angle. She is leaning forward over him and she has him in her mouth. He fills her mouth and bulges in her cheek. A clean-shaven member, he looks so big and hard. I see her spit dripping down his shaft to his balls which she holds in her other hand, the edge of her tongue visible, slightly poking out of her mouth. She has changed her hair, it is black now. Her makeup is fresh and her eyeliner is ever so slightly smudged. Even in picture form I can see him throb, I know he must be close and I know she chose this exact moment to send to me. She chose this moment to send a deeper message, one that is confirmed in the caption that sits over the image, frick you. I have an itch. I know where the itch is now. It sits behind my eyes and above my throat. I feel it catch as I try to swallow, I feel it burn as I try to blink away the tears. I try to orient myself and calm my breathing, but it is no good. I know that the itch will never leave me be, I will never be free from it, and it will never relent. I take the rifle from its case and I load it with one more round. I stare down the barrel as if hoping fate itself will emerge from it and tell me stop, that it has another course for me and that I am important in its plans. It does not. I cock the rifle and pull it flat to my body. My finger just reaches the trigger and I feel my hands tremble as I take one last look at Dad's lake. I close my eyes for the last time. I had an itch. Landlord put me through 3 years of hell. My landlord was a real piece of work, okay, maybe not quite a human being at all. Over the past 3 years, he's pulled some pretty shady moves on me. First off, he stole my dryer and other stuff from the common area. Can you believe it? Then there was that time he made me pay for a plumbing repair that was supposed to be his responsibility. He also tried breaking into my house, which really creeps me out. And when I went to a lawyer because of all this, he got all revenge-y and started charging me an extra $150 a month. That's ridiculous. Mind you, I never missed a rent payment in those 3 years, except for one time he made me pay for the plumbing repair. The place wasn't exactly the most amazing apartment either. The plumbing was illegal, there was a porch that had safety issues, the ceiling paint kept falling down, and the gas heater wasn't up to code. I finally got my chance to leave after he decided to jack up my rent by $500 a month. He'd do anything for more money. So, before I left, I called a building inspector and spilled everything. The porch didn't have a permit and was definitely not up to code, same with the plumbing and heater. When the inspector showed up, he measured everything. Each violation costs $500 per day until it's fixed. Man, that felt good to finally get him back. About a week before I moved out, he tried to tell me when to leave, like seriously. It's not how things work where I lived. He even threatened the police if I didn't vacate by then. Well, I went straight to them first thing that morning. The landlord showed up, threatening and harassing me. I called the cops, who told him I was in the right. Then came the real kicker. While I was gone, he tried breaking into my apartment and nailed my door shut. I called the police again, and they charged him with a felony for breaking and entering. He's getting fined plus a charge, don't be a jerk to good people. Chapter number out of range. First contact, Dark Ages, first, previous, next, wiki, when I was needed, I have returned. Darth Harmonious, some might say you can't get there from here. Magnus Oathsworn, but it was only you, Legion Imna stared at the view screen, staring at the scattering of stars that blazed with creation's perfect furious beauty of uncontrolled fusion reactions. Pinks, purples, whites, blues, greens, oranges, crimsons, violets, all twinkled and shimmered. The Canis Major dwarf galaxy shimmered on the view screen, the light sparkling on the barbed and hooked war steel chains dangling from beneath the screen. Ship status, Mr. Enduring. Deck-Ken asked from behind her. There was a pause. No major defects. Automatic damage control systems already have repaired 90% of the damage. The remaining 10% is expected to be repaired and checked within the next 20 minutes. Excellent, Deck-Ken said. He paused for a moment. Fleet status. Imna reached forward and let her finger pads trace down the huge view screen. The stars winked and sparkled. Corvette 3 reports a robotic marine fell and broke his arm upon entry to end space, but it is being repaired as we speak. No other unrepaired defects remain, Mr. Enduring stated. He paused for a moment. Urge to Unalive, rising. Understood. Excellent work, Mr. Enduring, Deck-Ken said. Iman stared at the stars for a long moment. Permission to go on a spacewalk, Captain, she asked, without turning around. Reason. Deck-Ken asked. I need to hear them. Hear the music of the stars, Imna said softly. Provisionally granted. Take Mr. Grace with you. He's our EVA expert, Deck-Ken said. Thank you, sir, Imna said. She turned away from the monitor, smiling. She tugged back on the gauntlet to her armored vac suit and let the suit lock the interior pressure sleeve glove. The black robot, wearing shipboard armor over his uniform, he was crew, why wouldn't he wear it, met her at the airlock. It watched as she attached the EVA components to her shipboard armor, double-checking all of her connections and seals as she attached each piece. Finally, she stepped into the airlock and waited for it to cycle. She could hear it as soon as the exterior airlock door opened. Chimes. Wind chimes. The chime of lights on the stellar winds. She slowly moved out of the airlock and onto the hull of the Little Knell of Night, moving past the number 18 starboard battle screen projector, past 2 of the sensor antenna. She stopped when she had a clear and unobstructed view of the dwarf galaxy as it sat less than 200 light-years away. Imna closed her eyes, listening. She could hear the music. Imna swayed back and forth slightly, listening. She held up her hand and pointed. Mr. Grace took video, shifting his position until he was behind her, using his own eyes to look from her shoulder, down her arm, to the tip of her finger. He photographed the star in as many different energy and wave bands as he could. His overly large eyes taking in much more than any of the other robots could have. Imna turned her wrists light, putting her thumb against her pointy finger, like she was pinching something. She opened them. One star was magnified. How, Mr. Grace didn't care. They were fleshies, biologicals, and biologicals did weird stuff all the time. All that mattered was that she had separated one star from all the others. There. I can hear her singing there, Imna said softly. Mr. Grace glanced over. Imna's eyes were rolled back in her head, she was wavering back and forth slightly. Her whiskers were rigid, her lips pulled back slightly from her conical teeth the length of her muzzle. A trickle of blood ran from her nose. She is singing still. She lives. She calls out to me, her voice has guided me, Imna said, her voice still soft and almost sing-song. I hear her. Don't you hear her? She paused for a second. That's odd, isn't it? She cocked her head slightly, even as she swayed slightly. The thin threads of starlight made the red edging of her shipboard armor glimmer. The purple stripe across the top sparkled and shone. The deep etchings that Hellspace had inscribed on her armor sparkled like silver. She lives. Her people still live. I can hear the song, she said softly. She sings in Terran. No. Something older. Something far older. Mr. Grace shifted to catch her if she collapsed. Bind a jig. Bind a jig, bind a jig, bind a jig. His gut instinct paid off as she suddenly collapsed. 0-0-0-0-0. Careful, Rixit said, shifting the stretcher. Mr. Grace carried Imna in, his robotic strength allowing him to smoothly move her through the airlock and onto the stretcher. Got her, Henwit said. Mr. Nightingale is reporting sickbay ready, Rixit said. Henwit nodded as he shifted his grip. Did she say anything? What happened? Rixit asked Mr. Grace as he turned around so he was facing forward while still holding the stretcher. She listened to the stars, picked on out, and heard a woman singing, Mr. Grace said. What did you hear? Rixit asked. Binary. Binary that translated to the holy hexadecimal. It would make no sense. It makes no sense to me, Mr. Grace said. 41 60 62 65 2C 20 61 60 62 65 2C 20 62 69 69 60 64 69 67 65 67 2E 20 42 69 69 60 64 69 67 65 67 2C 20 62 69 69 60 64 69 67 65 67 2C 20 61 60 62 65 2C 20 62 69 69 60 64 69 67 65 67 2E. Imna's back arced and she made choking and gagging sounds. Get her chest plate off, Henwit ordered. Mr. Grace's robotic fingers went to work, pulling the heavy clamshell chest piece free. The Nell wasn't a big warship, but it still felt to Rixit like hours until they rushed her into the medical bay. The two robots there, one in a medical officer's uniform with a stuffed brassiere, because, why not, and the other one in a male medical officer's uniform. Rixit wanted to stay, wanted to make sure that Imna was going to be okay. But he knew there wasn't enough room. He backed out with Henwit and Mr. Grace. Come with me to robotics, I need to give you a once-over, Henwit ordered. I detect no malfunctions, sir, Mr. Grace said. You're dripping organic hydraulic fluid from your nasal cavity and one-ear cavity, Henwit said. Rixit watched as the Palgrit and the robot rushed away. It didn't seem fair. It seemed like there should be a seat to wait on in the corridor, but there just wasn't the space. Instead he headed back to the bridge. As he moved past a screen, Mr. Enduring's face appeared. What is her status? The crazed digital sentience asked. Not sure. Maybe phasic shock. Rixit said. We don't remember what was done to us in the Twilight Citadel. Nor do I, Mr. Enduring admitted. Perhaps I should unalive you both to spare you the agony, he said. He leaned forward. I hate you. I know, Rixit said. He leaned against the wall. You've said it often enough. You live and she passed away. I hate you for it. I hate you for being alive when she is not. When all of them are not, Mr. Enduring said. He tugged at the collar of his uniform. I hear them pass away. I hear them beg me to save them. I hear her acceptance. He leaned forward until the monitor distorted his features. I hate you for being alive when she is not. When they are not. Rixit just nodded. Sure, it was a new set of reasons that Enduring hated him, but it didn't change anything. Rixit pushed himself off of the wall and headed back to the bridge. Captain Dekkan didn't say anything when he entered and moved over to damage control to sit down in the empty chair. Well? Dekkan asked. Seizures. She was hearing a voice that Mr. Grace heard. The voice injured them both. Brain damage, Rixit said. Dekkan nodded. A voice she could hear as a whisper, but even at a whisper could injure both digital sentience and biological, he mused. He tapped the arm of his throne. A voice that could be heard by sentience through the vacuum of space, at galactic distances, that even as a whisper damages the sapience that hears it. Rixit nodded. A powerful voice, Dekkan shook his head. Not one I've heard of. If it is working with the Margit, it's new, Rixit said. If one of my crew was injured getting me likely coordinates to find out if the Margit have reached this galaxy, then I'm going to investigate those coordinates, Dekkan said slowly. He looked at the navigator. Get the coordinates, Mr. Smiley, and find out where we'll be going. Aye, sir, the robot said. Dekkan stared at the forward view screen. Who is singing? He asked. And what is the song? Rixit added. 0-0-0-0-0. The distance would have normally taken 3 days at the most, but the weak grav shadows that far out meant that it was slow going in the beginning, with picking up speed the closer they got to the galaxy's grav shadows. Like riding down a hill in a wagon. Slow at first but steadily gaining speed. 5 days of hyperspace ended with a sudden jerk. Everything was pulled back until there was only darkness, then reality exploded from a flashing dot in the middle of a being's vision. The little flotilla dropped from hyperspace and into real space at the edge of the little galaxy. Originally a part of the Milky Way galaxy, time and gravity and stellar overdensity had gotten huffy and kicked out nearly a billion stars way back before Sag-A had been forged by the collapse of multiple stars. The stars had responded by moving away from the Milky Way and forming their own little galaxy out of spite. Rixit idly wondered if it had card games and prostitutes. He could use a good game of Lazy Blue and a roll with someone that he didn't have to have any emotional connection to. He liked Imna, but not in that way. She was a Telk. He didn't want to ruin it trying for a tumble. He'd never seen anything really come to good for people like him when it came to emotional attachments beyond Telk. You went back to back with your Telk in a fight. Your telk watched out for your mom while you were in the cubes. Your telk had a couple creds for something to chew while you were waiting to boost something for more creds. Anything more? Disaster. Every freaking time. She was still in the infirmary. He checked on her and was told she'd be fine in a few more hours, but Mr. Nightingale wanted to keep her in the infirmary until they'd come out of hyperspace to avoid any dump shock. Which Rixit got. The drop's effects, the way everything tunneled down to almost nothing, then the darkness started in the middle of his vision, spread until everything was dark, then streaked back into existence, made him want to vomit every time. Still, it was probably worse for someone else who had suffered the equivalent of being hit in the back of the head by a law SEC shock prod. Not to mention, as far as Rixit had known, the ship wasn't supposed to drop out of hyperspace for another 3 days. Status report, Captain Deckken barked as Rixit picked himself up from where he'd fallen on the floor. We're here early. Mr. Goofy consulted his console. Multiple grav ripples cause a shear in jump space and hyperspace, forcing us to leave hyperspace, Mr. Goofy stated. Mr. Willy looked up, his robotic eyes focused tightly. Analysis said the grav band was created by the dwarf galaxy's core and somehow propagated outside the galaxy in a bubble. Deckken just looked at the holotank. Huh. Weird, he slowly stood up and moved to the holotank. How far are we from Mr. Inna's star? 50 light years. Bring in long-range scanners now, Mr. Goofy said. After a moment the robot looked up. The stellar mass is emitting countermeasures to prevent scanning. Examination shows that it is artificial in nature. So, civilization, Deckken mused. He brought up the starfield in the holotank. All right. Fire the beacons. Let's let Bellona and the 10th Martial Order know we're here, Roger, firing beacons, Mr. Goofy said. A long moment passed. Beacons have entered hellspace. Signal is solid, Mr. Goofy said. There was a ripple in the middle of the deck. Decken's hand went for his force blade. Rixit jumped to his feet, snapping his hands out from his body at a 45-degree angle to bring up the grav fists. 2 of the robots started to stand up, reaching for their pistols. A female Terran appeared. Tall, with dark obsidian hair threaded with gray that was braided down her back but also brought forward to lay over her shoulders and on her chest. Her skin was ruddy, reddish in color, wrinkled around the corner of her eyes and mouth. She was dressed in a long dress with a rippled edge. Complex and ornate beadwork was down the sleeves and on the edges. Be still, she said, holding up one hand. Everything froze. Rixit snarled, trying to break free. The woman moved across the deck like a queen, stopping in front of Captain Deckken. Who are you? She asked. She touched the front of the helmet. Who has my song invited in? Glory is here. Roared out. Rixit struggled, trying to break free of the soft fist holding him still. Captain Deckken. What are you doing here? The woman asked, frowning. This is not a crusade ship. There was a puff of purple smoke. The tall woman turned in place, raising one hand. Be still, she said. The smoke cleared to reveal Bellona wrapped in white silks. You. First contact, Dark Ages, first, previous, next, wiki. TIFU by accidentally leaving my side door unlocked and losing my chicken salad to a home intruder. Alright, listen up, because this is a wild one. My boyfriend and I woke up early one morning to drive 2 hours away for my brother's big sporting event. In our rush to get out the door, we forgot to check if the side door was locked, something we almost never do. We live in a safe neighborhood, where we've always felt at ease walking around outside. So, we didn't think twice about it. After spending the day cheering on my brother, we got a little worried when we realized it would be dark by the time we got home. My friends Clark and B offered to let our dogs out for a quick pee break if they could stop by. They drove over, but things quickly went south. When they saw a man in the kitchen, their first instinct was that maybe he was just a friend of the previous owners or taking care of the pets. But then, the guy in his late 20s with blonde hair and a little chub introduced himself as, first name last name, and tried to say he was here for our dogs. We thought it might be some kind of relation, but once she realized that wasn't true, we knew he was up to no good. Clark, who isn't exactly small, didn't take kindly to the guy's excuses. He basically told him to get out of our house pronto. The intruder finally left without any more trouble, and B drove his car away as Clark stood firm outside. Back at Shields, we were trying on shoes when my phone rang. It was my boyfriend telling me that someone was in our house. I couldn't believe it. We called the police and my parents, who live close by. We started driving back home, hoping nothing had happened. The police arrived within 10 minutes, and they took statements from Clark and B. But we weren't comfortable going through our things without us there, so they told us to call when we got home. Imagine how shocked I was when we pulled up to find an officer already at the front door. The intruder had returned about 30 minutes before, making everyone's blood run cold. My boyfriend's father, who had a gun, confronted him. Clark tried to mediate, but my dad was in no mood for games. He told the guy he should leave, and when the intruder rolled down his window and turned on the interior lights, my dad lined up a shot. Luckily, no shots were fired as the guy sped away. The 911 response was just a few minutes behind, but they couldn't catch him this time. As we went through our house, the officer found that nothing had been disturbed, no valuables stolen, no damage done. The only thing missing was about 9 servings of homemade chicken salad from a mixing bowl on the counter. It turned out to be the stupidest part of it all. But despite everything, my friends and family were amazing. Clark and B stayed at our house until we got home, helping set up security cameras that my parents had picked up on the way over. My boyfriend's dad slept on our couch tonight so I wouldn't feel alone. We've gotten lots of calls from friends offering help. And you know what? Our valuables are safe, our pets are unharmed, and we have positive identification on the guy because he gave his real name to Clark when questioned. Things could have been a lot worse, but at least I didn't lose any more homemade chicken salad than I did. Toxic ex-boss begs me to leave a company review. I give him exactly what he asked for. Alright, so here's what happened. I was working at this tiny planning firm in Germany for a while. It wasn't great, super messy, underpaid, and the boss was totally unpredictable. Plus, they expected me to do way more than my job required without any extra pay or support. 3 of my coworkers left around the same time as me, and during my 4 years there, the boss changed assistants 5 times. So, I quit and moved to a new city for a fresh start. About a week after leaving, this guy from my old firm texted me out of the blue. He wants me to leave a review on their job site, saying they were awesome. I just rolled my eyes and ignored him. But then, something weird happened. A few days ago, when I checked the company's page, there were 3 brand new 4.5-star reviews posted all at once. They sounded suspiciously fake, using exactly the same buzzwords like great work-life balance and amazing health benefits, which was a huge joke because it was just an hour of stretching on Wednesdays. I remembered that text from my former boss, so I wrote a brutally honest review. I kept it professional but gave them 1 and 2 stars in almost every category. I talked about the lack of support, horrible communication, and heavy workload. But I wasn't done yet. I contacted the platform's support team and flagged those 3 fake reviews for manipulation. In less than 4 hours, 2 of the reviews were removed. My review was dragging their average down, so my ex-boss texted me again. The message was full of typos, begging me to leave a good review. I left him on read. And here's the cherry on top, a friend who still works there messaged me yesterday. He said my review hit it right on the head and that management has suddenly become super nice and accommodating out of sheer fear that more people will quit because of their bad reviews now. The professor of lost questions. The Department of Esoteric Studies sat on our campus like an old, mysterious house. Its windows never seemed right, rain outside, sunshine inside. Its clocks disagreed with each other, one might show 3 o'clock, another 4. Professors would disappear for months, only to return with new degrees from places no one could find. Among them stood Professor Alder, the strangest of all. His office had no title on the door, just a brass plaque that said, questions accepted, answers unlikely. Students went there when their research hit dead ends or theories collapsed. They thought they'd get some answers, but instead, Alder collected every question. He'd write them down and file them into huge cabinets lining his walls. Thousands of questions filled the room. Why do dreams fade? Why does music feel so familiar? Can a place remember its past? No answers were given, just more questions. One rainy evening, Rowan, a graduate student, finally asked what everyone wondered. Professor, why keep all these questions if you never answer them? Alder smiled and pulled out an old drawer. Inside were cards yellowed with age, questions from scholars long gone. Rowan read through them. Many had answers now, scientific discoveries, historical records, new theories. Rowan said, someone answered these. Alder replied, eventually. He gestured toward the endless cabinets. Answers end journeys. Questions begin them. Outside, rain softly tapped against the old glass. Rowan looked around the room again. It didn't feel like an archive anymore, it felt like a map. Every question was a road waiting for someone to explore. Alder slid a blank card across the desk and said, what are you curious about? Rowan hesitated but then began to write. The professor smiled. Another journey had just begun. My landlord got not exactly what he deserved, but it sure was a rough ride for him. I lived in this 20-story building for over a decade. My landlord was pretty much absent, but he and his wife seemed okay at first. They never bothered us unless there was an emergency, like replacing the shower head or fixing the fridge. But one day, things changed completely. His wife wanted more rent so she could turn the place into an office, which wasn't legal, and they needed us out quickly. We agreed to move a month early in exchange for a month's rent back in our deposit. They made a 180-degree turn. We fixed the minor damages, like re-leathering the table legs and spackling over some holes. But when it came to the dents on the kitchen door frame, they said we had to pay or forget about the money. I was pissed but took the $5. People in the building were nosy, and one old lady spread my frustration around. His wife went from being a star in the mommies group to nobody wanting to talk to her. People shunned them both. I thought moving away would save me from their troubles, but it didn't work out that way. A year later, they called about some floor heating question, and I couldn't believe he was still mad at me for the dents. One night, I saw a light on at my old place around 3 a.m. Curious, I checked and found the door open with everything trashed. Cabinets broken, lazy landlord, written on the walls, and the kitchen door frame still had those dents. By this time, smartphones were all the rage, so we had a chat group for the whole building, about 500 people. I snapped pictures and posted them online. Turns out, he was stealing deposits from others too. The place was trashed again, and the cops got called. Everyone chimed in with complaints and photos. They were smoking in hallways, leaving leaky rubbish outside the door, using foul language around kids, and leaving dirty footprints everywhere. He got fined for creating a public disturbance and degrading living space quality. Plus, he was illegally renting out the place as an office without permission to fix it, so it sat empty for 6 months. The fines were huge, about 1.5 months rent lost over a year. I told them to suck it up.